American football. I did a vlog yesterday. I started editing it and I just was like halfway through, quarter of the way through. This is shit. And I just thought to myself, no, this isn't helping anyone. Breaking the fast this morning with some, I don't know what you call that, some Greek yogurt mixed with, and then obviously BCAAs. Nah, just some orange squash. So, yeah, started the vlog yesterday, rubbish. And did really annoyed with the way that I just filmed it and stuff. Because obviously, in terms of vlogging, I try and put quality content out there. And not just content, but the way it's filmed as well. And it was just all over the place. And I just thought, stuff this. Deleted everything in the memory card. And doing it today again on a completely different topic. And what this topic is going to be about is what sort of factors and things that you need to be looking out for when choosing your diet, whatever that diet may be. All diets are based on calories and macros. If you look at Herbalife, and if you look at clean eating, for example, they're all based on calories and macros, whether you want to believe that or not, because there are calories and macros in nearly everything that we eat. So when we talk about diets, there are a few things that we need to take into consideration. Some are more important than others, so this isn't necessarily in order. But the first one, and the number one is optimality. So when I talk about optimality, now if you think about a powerlifter, if a powerlifter's got shitloads of cardio in his programming, unless obviously she needs to cut weight, you know, a powerlifter's optimal training program is going to be based around bench, squat and dead. Obviously accessory lifts have their place. But if we're talking in terms of diet optimality, if you are a big carb lover and you love carbohydrates, why on earth would you go on a low carb diet? The only reason I can think about this is due to lack of knowledge and thinking that carbohydrate makes you gain weight and that they are the scapegoat and the devil, so to speak, when it comes to not being able to lose body fat, which in hindsight they're not. Of course, in the latter stages of your cut, then you will have to cut calories from either carbohydrate or fat. So carbs will be lower coming the end of the cut. But, you know, it just doesn't make sense at all. And let's say, for example, you're a big fan of fats and you much prefer them over carbohydrate. Then, you know, maybe the optimal sort of route that you go down is the higher fat route. I had a letter a few days ago that I somehow got a pension. Don't know who set it up for me. I don't want a pension by now. I want to take it out and spend it. Yet one thing's for sure. Optimal means jack shit if you can't stick to that optimal plan consistently over a prolonged period of time. So the second one, and our second point, which is quite similar to optimality, and that adherence. Now, I said that in a really funny way then, didn't I? Adherence. Oh, I lost track now. If you can't adhere to something, then it's probably not right for you. A study conducted by Shai et al. Actually showed, or compared the differences in adherence between two groups. One was on the low carb diet and the other one was on the Mediterranean type diet. Now, even though fat loss and weight loss was pretty similar between the two groups, and what they found was that the ones who were on the Mediterranean diet, so if you don't know what the Mediterranean diet is, it doesn't necessarily cut out many things. I think an individual is more willing, or is going to be more willing to adhere to something if it doesn't necessarily cut out a lot of things. And obviously with a low carb one, essentially you're cutting out quite a lot of foods, or food groups even. This has got to be one of the worst jobs out there, hasn't it? This job has surely got to be up there with the worst household jobs. So numero 3 is longevity. Now, I have been flexible dieting for, don't get me wrong, there's times when I don't track, and that's really important. You can't be a slave to the app. If I'm going through a dieting phase, I'll diet hard and I'll be strict, because I can turn that switch on and off whenever I want to, and I know for a fact that all I need to do is drop calories and whatnot. But longevity is something that's really important, and what I want you to do is, whenever you set up your diet, think 6 years down the line. I know it's a long time and a lot can happen in 6 years, but just think to yourself, am I going to be able to eat like this for the rest of my life?
Because if you're cutting out all sorts, then there's a high probability that you can't. To find something that just works for you, and if you can sustain it for a prolonged period of time, and I do go through prolonged periods of just ad-lib eating and intuitive eating, but then habits play a big part, which I'm not going to get into. But yeah, that's number 3, longevity. And the next one, which is actually really obvious, is enjoyment. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. If you don't enjoy it, you're not going to stick to it. There is absolutely zero point in you doing it. End of. Which takes me on to point number 4. Practicality. Now, if, say for example, you are a young male watching this, you live back at home with your mum and dad who cook you food, is it going to be practical for you to turn down your mother's cooking? Now, we all know for a fact that when your mum cooks you food, she will never get it. When you tell your mum calories, macros, whatnot, you know, fucking calm down on the old cream, on the old food, she is not going to take your word in for it. She does not care. And what you need to do is think practical. When my mum cooks me food, is it good for me to be on a low-fat diet when she's putting cream and cheese and everything? No, it's not. It's going to be ridiculous. So again, this is where flexible dieting comes in. Again, I'm not going to be biased towards it, but I probably sound like I am, but I don't care. And what happens is that that person, or your mum in this case, will make you food, and then you're like, oh, mum's made me cheese and cream. I'm not going to turn it down because I can't cook. I'm a useless 22-year-old who can't do anything. No offence, majority are these days. So what you need to ask yourself is, can I just eat my mum's foods but find a way as to how I can incorporate these types of food, even if it's estimating, into my daily allowance? Am I going to be able to do that with the diet that I'm on at the moment? If you've got a diet plan written up for you, you're knackered. Because mum's full cream cottage pie, I don't know what that is, isn't on the menu. That's why, again, being biased, flexible dieting comes in. You can guess, track it in, thanks mum, and she doesn't even know you're on a diet. So, yeah. And again, when we're talking about practicality, if, say for example, your coach or whatever you follow on, whichever diet plan you've picked up, and it's got you eating 7 small meals a day, are you going to have time? Do you have time to prepare that many meals? Probably not. Who the fuck's got time to prepare 7 small meals? And Cameron et al. Actually did a study in 2009 where they used 2 meals a day and 7 smaller meals a day, which all equated to the same calorie sort of allowance and macronutrient sort of targets. And between the 2 groups, so the 7 meals a day and the 2 meals a day, there was absolutely zero difference in fat loss and weight loss when calories were matched. So when you know that, I know there are so many people out there who still think that eating smaller, regular meals a day is going to keep burning the furnace and stoking that metabolism. It's not. It really isn't. And last but not least is restrictiveness. Now, depending on how lean you want to get, there's a very high probability that you're going to have to restrict yourself from certain foods. Now, a common theme that flexible dieters tend to do, I did it in the past, was always purposely try and eat junk foods. Now, there's nothing wrong with junk food every now and again, but the deeper you get into a cut, the less calories you're going to have, which means you are not going to be able to continue to eat or keep having Pop-Tarts. You're not going to be feeling full. If you compare, what are they, 300 calories of Pop-Tarts, if you compare that to 300 calories worth of fruit and veg, that fruit and veg is going to fill you up a lot more, and you're going to be able to get those essential micronutrients in. Restrictiveness, whatever diet you go on and however deep you are into a cut and however lean you want to get, there is going to be a certain degree of restriction. But by all means, just because you're restricting yourself from certain food groups without taking any consideration for your calories and macros doesn't mean that you're going to yield better results than someone who tracks their calories and incorporates a few snacks and sort of bad foods every now and again.